Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
We are creating conscious community by sharing mindful manifesting skills and transcendental music.
We are all in this together. It's a love rebellion. It's a love rebellion. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Oh my busy mind, how you do spin in so many directions, holding your many plates, thinking. Oh my busy mind, how do we let go of the past patterns and pave our way into the new world, free. It's a love rebellion, 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 it's a love rebellion. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Oh my busy mind, how I do wish to find a solution to heal our divided peoples. Freedom. Oh my busy mind, it is time to be at peace and take a breath. Be centered in this moment. In this moment. In this moment. It's a love rebellion, 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 it's a love rebellion.
Can you handle it? Love one another. Love yourself. Unconditional love. We can do this. Together. The love rebellion.
Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jalen.
And he is Monte.
And here we are.
Yeah, the eternal present.
Thank you, universe.
Yeah, we're still kicking.
Yeah, that song was proof of it, too. We're still creating and moving.
Yep.
And that was like the latest version of the Love Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a song in 11. And I don't know, I've been experimenting with kind of like that techno sound with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes us think of dancing.
Well, it's a good way to get a point across, I think. It's like a powerful rhythm, powerful, little melody thing going on. And
Yeah. Yeah, powerful message.
the Love Rebellion's important,
Yeah.
I believe.
It's very important right now to be able to love ourselves, love each other,
Yes.
love the life we live.
Love our habitat, love the birds, love the trees, love the air, love the water.
Love what is.
Yeah. Love the moment,
Yeah.
ideally. And then if you really want to be a radical love warrior, you have to take Jesus into follow his teachings of love your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is radical.
Yeah, I mean, we would be pretty peaceful.
Yeah, we would. If we
you
could follow
imagine?
those. Yeah, right. Nobody really even mentions it much either. I've noticed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what? This is really important and extremely radical
Uh-huh.
and extremely just like mind bending in a way. Just because it's not something we've ever been taught.
Love people from other religions, love people from other countries.
Love people who are trying to
governments.
exploit you. Love
Well,
people
see,
who are...
that's, and then I guess you have to define what is love.
To me, love is like just a sense of oneness, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I do love my enemies because I do see us all as having like the spark of God within us. And we're all just confused to some extent and whatever. If somebody's messing with me, they're just confused. But I do like connect with them and feel one with them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be around them either, though.
You don't want to have a tea party?
No, probably not. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm into negotiating and talking, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what loving one's quote unquote enemy means, is being willing to hear them out and, be able to see their side. Yeah. And if they're doing the same for you, then they would be able to see your side.
Right.
We could come to compromise. We could come to understanding.
It's true. It's like the opposite of love, essentially, perhaps, is just judging others. If I judge somebody as being stupid or whatever, then I'm like saying, oh, I'm above that person. Obviously. So I'm no longer one with that person.
Right. I have nothing in common. Nothing in common here.
Yeah, nothing in common.
Yep. And that seems to be what it is we divide ourselves into these
camps,
boxes, or
clubs,
cliques. Yeah.
Cliques, there you go.
If you were if you had anything like my experience in high school, there was a bunch of cliques and they didn't really mix, and and I was always in the outsiders club. The people who don't fit anywhere. That was me.
I was in the outsiders club too, but my outsiders club had a bunch of cool people in it.
Yeah.
So we had our own like club kind of.
Yeah.
And we're still close to this day.
Yeah, y'all were more sporty though, right? You're more athletic and
primarily we're athletic and musical. I guess those are
Yeah, I was on the athletic side, but none of the other people were that I hung out with.
Yeah.
So I was an outsider of my outsider club.
But yeah, just to let you know that we did not sit at the popular table in the lunchroom.
No.
But we had our own table and it was cool.
Yeah.
We were popular amongst ourselves.
Oh, I had such anxiety whenever it was time to go eat. Oh my gosh.
Oh, geez.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, here we are in this present moment, and we have these histories behind us.
Yeah.
How to move forward with love. It's not easy, right?
Right.
One of the things that I've been meditating on and contemplating a lot recently is, what is integration? So, what is integration to you?
I don't know. Integration means, for me, it means to learn something new, and you learn it so well that you create new neural patterns in your brain, and it becomes part of your subconscious as well.
Okay.
And then it's an integral part of your mind in your brain at that point. But if we just learn something and just, oh yeah, I know that now, and then go on to the next thing, and then it never really gets into our subconscious, and not many neural connections are made, and those are probably lost. So to really integrate something, I think we need to really practice. Practice and repeat it somehow over in our minds or over in our bodies or whatever it is we're trying to integrate.
Okay.
Because it takes work. You know, it's not just taking a pill and it's like all done for you. It's like, no, I gotta like do this.
Right. Yeah. So integration to me is similar, but the way I've been thinking about it lately is more on integration of whatever's going on. So say I'm feeling pain in my shoulder. If I want to integrate it, I have to let myself feel that pain without exaggerating it and without muting it. And in my mind, I'll say, I integrate this pain. And I just feel it, and it almost, it's such an interesting feeling as I'm going into it, and I'm kind of chanting, I integrate this pain, I integrate this pain. And eventually it just kind of dissipates.
Interesting.
And it's the same with integration of pleasure, because we can be like, yeah, going to a party, woo, and just like jumping up and down, woo, woo. But you have to integrate that pleasure as well, or it's just outside of you. And for you to have pleasure, you have to go to another party or another super exciting event or roller coaster, whatever it is. But to integrate joy or integrate pleasure, you have to feel it, absorb it, be it. And as you do that, then it's almost as if it's inside of you, and therefore you don't need to chase it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing as far as the pain goes, it's like just this, it's an acceptance almost.
Well, it's acceptance. It's such an interesting thing. I got this idea from a meditation that I experienced at the Wilderness Wellbeing Retreat. A woman guided a Reiki meditation the next morning after the main day of events.
Yeah.
And she guided this Reiki journey, and I had this run-in with these alligators in my journey, and the alligators just kind of were guarding a gate, and they moved their heads slowly to one side to kind of usher me through the gate. And when I got home, I looked up the animal spirit of gator, and it's about integration and how they take their time. They take their time in the way they store their catch under the river. And they like trap. They'll drag something that they catch down and then put it under a rock so it can get, I don't know, is it softer or yummier? I don't really I don't remember everything that it said, but the point of it was integrate your pain, integrate your pleasure. And so after we got back from that retreat, I remember just sitting and focusing on that. Okay, I integrate my pain. And it was such a vivid experience that it's hard to put into words, but it wasn't necessarily just acceptance. It was much deeper. There was, because, I accept that I'm aging and I have pain, but there's something else about going into it so much that it dissipates.
It's almost like shedding like loving kindness on that area, and perhaps that brings some prana to the area, and that perhaps helps dissipate the pain itself, because you think of it, it's when, if I don't accept it, if let's say my back hurts or whatever, and I don't accept this, then I'm like, oh, that's like a rigid mindset.
It gets worse.
It's like, it's victim stancing too, kind of. And it's like, poor me, and then it's not it doesn't seem like a good way for it to heal.
Right.
Rather than, okay, I accept this. I skipped my yoga for 3 days in a row, and now this happened. So there's a lesson to be learned from this. Thank you, universe. I'm going to learn that lesson.
I forgive myself.
Yeah, more that kind of energy.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
But accepting it, it's like, yeah. But
it's
according
a part
to
of it, for sure.
Maharaj, Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Nisargadatta.
Yeah. He says that pain can happen in the body, but suffering happens in the mind. And that's what he said. Pain can be a lesson for us, but to learn that lesson, and then we reduce the suffering around it.
Yeah, to learn the lesson is to integrate it, is I guess what just went through my mind, because you're kind of absorbing it. And just what you were talking about before, integrating new things that you learn, that integration into the procedural memory, it's soaking in there.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to think about it anymore. It just happens.
Yes.
And that's how changing these neural patterns of thought, if you're anything like what I've went through of just being a very negative minded person that sees all the bad things in the world and feels all the bad things around me and sees all the messes and irritated and anxious and it takes a lot of effort to change those patterns.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is changing your lens of perception. But I just want to say that I've been thinking about this recently too, just how trauma in the past can get us into that habit of seeking the negative because you feel like you're in danger. I mean, it depends on the trauma, right? But in a lot of cases, you feel like you're in danger, so you walk into a room and you just scan. What's wrong with this? Because you're in that habit.
I think that's why I'm so good at noticing what's out of place. Like I can tell if somebody's been in a room. I can tell what's moved. I can tell what was left behind.
Yeah.
When I walk in a room, you bet your bottom dollar I am scanning the room. I know who's angry. I know who's a bully. And I know who is noticing that I've walked in the room. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm that way too. I can read the energy of the room effectively. I think
you're more comfortable than I am, though, because sometimes I'll read a room and I got to skedaddle.
Okay.
And it's not because I don't feel like I don't feel like somebody's actually going to attack me or anything like that. Yeah. But the anxiety from the vibe is just so strong that I got to go.
Yeah. Sure. And just I've been thinking about how when we're trained through trauma to just like scan the room for danger, or scan the room for negative energy or whatever is going on.
Hypervigilance.
Yeah.
From PTSD.
And hypervigilance and just like applying that to the world, walking into the kitchen and just seeing the stuff that's messy. For example, not seeing the clean counter, but noticing a couple plates out of place over there or something,
Yeah.
It's like when we get caught up in that scanning for, what would you call that? Overvigilance? Hypervigilance. When we get into that, it's in some ways we're putting blinders on. Because we're only seeing the negative at that point.
Yep.
Which is really a difficult way to live.
Yeah.
Because we could walk outside and bam, just see the negative.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a chemtrail overhead or whatever, whatever that is, and really get our minds caught up in it and miss the beautiful tree. And miss the birds singing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when I walk outside, I am stunned by just the beauty of it.
Or one way that a lot of people engage the negative neural patterns is they'll hear the beauty of the birds and then think about how, who knows, maybe that bird's endangered and all the birds are dying and and climate change has changed, and where are those birds going to land, and how, so we can take a moment for a second and see the beauty, and then rip ourselves down.
Yeah, just spin it negative, and it's understandable. It's good, and I'm not saying like ignore the negative stuff. I'm saying mindfully see the entire picture. And you got to figure out what that is. And it's beyond what they say on the TV.
Oh, yeah. Example, they don't talk about the good on TV.
No, they don't. But seeing the entire picture, and then, according to Buddha and the Lotus Sutra, if you want to create change, you hone in on the positive. and create positive change. So there's a huge difference between trying to create positive change in your culture, which I think is what we're trying to do, what we're doing, creating positive change, us and a whole group of people who are, similarly minded. Then there's a big difference between going about it that way than fighting the evil. Because fighting the evil, it just turns into another war. Yeah. Essentially against some people or some group of people. And we're going to war with them, and then it just turns into this negative mess, typically. And just imagine how if we could love our enemies, like you were saying, it's kind of the same thing.
Right.
And then, boom, war would go away. Boom. And we could really fix our habitat. Yeah. Which I think we will do.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm absolutely in 100% agreement that yes, there are bad things happening, but to be a part of the change, we don't want to be frozen by the bad things, Right. I know that my sons talk about how their generation is very upset and concerned that there won't be a world and they shouldn't have kids, and they just don't know how to go forward in the future and have any hope. Yeah. And that, one, breaks my heart, and two, gives me, I guess, mission and focus on spreading and sharing the idea of, even though the world is as it is, we can focus on our mind and our mind's function and our body's function and that evolution of our bodies. Because as we continue to breathe the air, as we continue to drink the water, as we continue to be a part of the world that we're in, it will adjust. That is something that our bodies have done for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They have adjusted to the changes around us. They've adjusted to temperature. They've adjusted to minerals, lack of minerals, and so on and so forth. So it's for sure to give back our young people's hope, in a sense, is to have hope ourselves.
Well, yeah.
So many of us don't have hope.
No, we've been trained not to have hope.
Right.
I believe. And I don't buy it personally. I have lots of hope. And I mean, in 200 billion years, the sun is going to grow huge and eat the earth anyway. I mean, we got to keep things in perspective.
Right.
I mean, but yes, we can make our air cleaner and we can make our water cleaner. It's not rocket science. Okay, let's talk about the air. People complain about the air. Okay, how do we make the air cleaner? Number one, let's stop the wars. Stop wars. Because you know something? Wars are like the biggest polluter in the world. You can imagine how much pollution a war creates.
Bombs,
besides all this terrible karma. Yeah, shooting uranium-tipped bullets around. I mean, that's war. So let's stop the wars. We want to take care of our habitat. Okay, let's stop the wars. Let's move away from internal combustion engines. Let's move towards let's move away from plastic. Let's make plastic out of hemp. Let's make solar panels out of hemp. I mean, there's all these solutions that are pretty obvious and pretty simple. But if I'm freaking out about what somebody's telling me on the TV, I'm not seeing these options.
Right.
Because I'm really hyper-focused.
Yeah. I feel like what the image that went through my head as you're speaking is the effort that it takes for a train to change direction.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these solutions are imperative that the direction be changed. There's not the facilities or the equipment for creating plastic out of hemp, even though it's possible.
Yeah.
And we know it's possible, but there's not the factory doing it.
Right.
So that takes building the factory, creating the equipment,
and
the
besides
manufacturing.
They have to stop paying all the farmers to grow corn and soybeans.
Right. Subsidies.
Yeah. Or either that or subsidize hemp as well and give farmers a choice.
Yeah.
Well,
totally.
you want to grow.
Make an even playing field.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think if there was an even playing field, farmers would grow hemp. And then there'd be tons of hemp. And it's like, okay, let's do stuff with this hemp.
Right.
Let's make it into plastic. Let's make it into fuel. Let's
make it out into clothes. And I mean, shoot, there's so
I had
much.
This hemp shirt, it lasted forever.
Yeah. I had my favorite hemp pants that lasted for a long time too. So it's happening. Some people are working on these solutions and they're out there.
Yes.
And if a person has that deep desire, it could be your dharma to create a new path.
Sure.
But you got to make that train go the other way.
Yeah.
And that involves as well the brain and the brain synapses and the nervous system and the body, and one believing that there is hope and there are solutions and you can be a part of it.
Well, that's it. And if some young person, if their mantra is, I'm doomed, and they keep repeating that over and over and over, they're going to believe it. It's going to sink into their subconscious.
I mean, it's all over everything, all over all media types, you know.
Well, a lot of the media for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there is positive stuff too, but
there is. I mean, there's this new type of media coming out, just media by the people for the people. You know, so there's hope that's going to shift, but my point is, if my mantra is we're doomed, that's what I'm going to believe. And you know something? I'm going to be depressed and anxious. And guess what? I'm going to blame other people for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if my mantra is I'm going to make the world a better place, and then I could find my dharma. What am I good at? Oh, I'm really good at, you know, engineering, or I'm good at math, or I'm good at whatever. I'm going to use that to help create a better culture.
I'm good at inspiring people.
Yeah, we got to find our strengths and move in that direction, and blam, you have hope at that point. That's the key.
Yeah. And well, back to the integration piece, I think a huge key is, again, integrating the pain, integrating the pleasure, integrating the pain of feeling doomed, right? But then integrating the pleasure of, oh, and I could be a part of the solution, you know. And the more that we take time to pause and be in the present moment where there's not any rumination, there's not any worry, fear, anxiety, depression, anger, just right here, right now. And that is such a difficult place for people to be, especially if that train is chugging along on anxiety lane, you know, and it's just, there it goes, you know, it's going, the mind is busy.
And you keep reinforcing it by what you're looking at on your screen. That's the thing.
And then pausing that.
Yes.
And allowing yourself to hear the birds in this moment, not thinking about their future or their past, but thinking about the birds in this moment, the crickets in this moment, the cars going by in this moment, like whatever it is, it doesn't really even matter. It's just being in this moment and not letting your mind think about it. Yeah. So I do want to say that we're halfway through the show, so we're going to go ahead and play another song for you that will help you along the path of being here now. And then we'll come back with some more tips and tricks to be present with integration and solution-oriented mindset.
Mind hacks.
Yes.
Ways to adjust that lens of perception.
Yeah.
Because we can do that.
Absolutely.
It's
possible.
It's possible, and we're designed to be able to do that. Let's become empowered. That's really the key to psychological health, feeling empowered.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy. We're made of energy, friends.
We are energy. Yes.
We are energy. That's true.
Right. Well, at least according to string theory and modern physics, all matter is just comprised 100% of energy. Mm-hmm. So that's the foundation of reality.
I thought it was 99.99%.
Nope.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Yeah, there's 99.99% space.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
And there's little bits of matter, but the matter is actually 100% energy, and so is the space.
Yeah.
You see, so
yeah.
that's that. In reality, we're actually these glowing, beautiful strings of energy, all of us. Mm-hmm. In this world, and everything around us is also glowing strings of energy. So that's reality for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Snapshot of it.
Snapshot. Yeah. So back to what we were talking about earlier. And now we're going to share some solutions and tips on how to be mindful in your integration and finding hope and solutions.
Yeah.
So the first one that I want to share, which is in the song, is surrender. And there's something really potent about surrendering to what is, which is, again, acceptance. But it's a little deeper than just acceptance. It's this surrender which leads to faith and trust that it is what it is, and we're going to do our best while we're here. And we're not going to last forever. So we are here for our time period to do what we can to improve our soul's existence in all of time, which is beyond this earth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, surrender. I like acceptance. Mm-hmm. I guess surrendering to the present and just by fully accepting it and just trying to get immersed in it helps me a lot. Mm-hmm. And according to Maharaj, the more we're able to just surrender into the moment and find stillness in our minds, at that point, spiritual forces are unleashed that support us. Mm-hmm. So I love that philosophy because it allows me to let go of this idea that I have to manipulate everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It allows my analytical mind to be quiet for some of the time.
And surrendering to the present moment is in a sense a devotional, loving thing that you can do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working with this one for years now, and I'm so not good at it yet. But I think that has to do with my extensive PTSD. I think for some people it could be a lot easier, though. So I don't want to dissuade anyone and make you think that it's going to take years and years, because it really may not take you very long at all. But this idea of sitting in the present moment and allowing yourself to just be. And every time the mind gets busy again and starts thinking about the to-do list or that conversation you had recently or that person that you want to see soon or whatever, the mind can think of many, many things to think of.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens and you notice it, you just stop. Surrender again. Be in the present moment again and breathe. And not even that you're focusing that much on the breath either, or the body, or the mind. It's just being. Just like the cricket on the grass, it's just being. It's just sitting there. The bird on the branch is just being. All things on this earth seem to be able to be. And we're blessed with this beautiful brain, but it makes it difficult to be. And when we can just be, then, as you were saying, all of these magical things unfold from the universe saying, you did it.
Yeah, right. Right. I love that. Yeah, according to Maharaj, every time we're able to get to that place of stillness, that the spiritual world takes note and kind of marks it down. I think of it as like you get a check mark. And then maybe after 5 check marks, it's like, okay, time for a synchronicity. After
That's
10
funny.
check marks, okay, time for a mini miracle. Boom. Something like that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So that in itself can give hope.
for sure. For sure. And just understanding that there is most likely such a thing as a spiritual world to begin with is a hopeful thought, I think. And I mean, by surrender, we're not saying just give up. It's not that way at all. It's like, no, we're being very proactive at working with our own minds.
Training the mind.
Yeah, training the mind, finding moments of stillness.
Far from giving up, because if
yeah.
you try what's hard is not beating myself up, because I'm not using a timer. I don't know how long of the space is where I'm just being, but eventually I start thinking about something. And this thought just, it takes off like they do, and I'm in it and I'm thinking about this thing and, okay, and how do I, wait, I'm thinking, okay, stop, breathe. And that is where normally in the past I go, I can't believe I did it again. When am I going to get this figured out? How many times am I going to try? And then my mind will go off again.
Yeah, right.
Yet in the self-loathing path, which is very painful, and then bringing it back without judging it. Oh, I did that again. It's okay. Yep. So that's the hard part.
Well, in reality, every time you bring the mind back, that's when you're training. It's like taking a dog for a walk, training it to heel, essentially. And most of our minds are just very undisciplined because we haven't trained it all in teaching it to heal and how to work for us. But once we're able to find those moments of stillness, whether or not the universe, even if the universe doesn't support it, it's still psychologically a healthy thing to do. because it's the ruminating mind, it's the overactive, compulsively thinking mind that creates anxiety, that creates depression,
and
that
illness in
fear.
the body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I've noticed for real in my life and my work and being a person that experiences such intense anxiety and PTSD symptoms, and I work with other people with intense anxiety and PTSD, and I see what happens if we don't train the mind. And it can be a very painful route.
Oh, yeah. Just letting the mind be feral, essentially.
And I mean physically painful, not just mentally painful, but the illnesses, the way the body degrades, and, the cellular degradation and atrophy and the muscles, and just the way the fear works in the body, and the organs start to get tired,
Well, and we just become more angry and more fearful and more,
it's
miserable.
Absolutely worth your effort and your time to train the mind.
So one of my favorite ways of training my mind, it's very simple. It's just repeating the phrase, thank you. Just periodically throughout the day. I try and start out the mornings by saying thank you. Just laying there in bed, thank you, thank you. I put my feet on the ground. I'm like, thank you. As my feet hit the ground, I'm walking. I'm like, thank you, just taking charge of my state of consciousness, adjusting my lens of perception at that moment, because I've learned historically, first thing in the morning, my mind is like whiny. And that's not the way I want to start the day, is by complaining and I don't want to get up and I got so much to do, and just not present. But when I just quiet that down by saying thank yous, what naturally happens is I'm directing my mind to seek the positive of the present moment. So I'm like, oh, I have a roof over my head. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. So that's the thank you practice is 100% cognitive practice. You just repeat it in your mind when you want to.
Yeah.
And use it during good times, during bad times, during neutral times, essentially. And just train your brain to, at least at moments, seek the positive.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go next. You talk about in the morning is so difficult for you. For me, it's before bed. Because in the morning I get up, I do my thing, and I go meditate. And maybe I'll look at my phone, and that's when things go south. But it's not my mind in the morning. My mind is actually fairly clear and nice to me in the morning.
Okay.
It's at night before bed, and I'll be like, I'm so exhausted, and I didn't get all the things I wanted to get done, and I didn't act the way I wanted to act, and I'll just start going through the list of all the things I did wrong in a judgmental way. And what I'm trying to do is to see the positive, to think about the things I did right, to acknowledge the things that I messed up, but think of how I would like to do it differently tomorrow, and to basically try to be nice to myself as I'm laying in bed and trying to get comfortable. Just saying nice things to myself, maybe say a few of my strengths to myself, or just think about the positive things that I've done and that I do want to do, but I know it'll happen in the right time, instead of why didn't I get it done? Why can't I be better with time management? Blah, 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 blah.
All right. Yeah. Seeking the positive. And another way for me too, actually, is just playing music. So whatever kind of hobbies or habits or just
things that
to
make
or
you
to
happy.
move my body, lift some weights, go for a bike ride. It really kind of puts me in the present moment more effectively and allows my chattering mind to forces my chattering mind to quiet down, to get focused, get still. I mean, and all great athletes are in some ways master of their minds because they're like they masterfully get into that flow state.
Right.
And the basketball player who's not missing a shot, or the he's definitely in the flow. He's in the zone. His mind is focused and clear and wide open and present. Mostly present, with moments of analysis, but mostly present, and he or she feels great. So the great
Vital.
athletes are actually great teachers for me. And so I just try and emulate that with my own mind just periodically throughout the day, get in the flow state, and another technique I use is just the optimal breathing, which is as I'm breathing in, I'm just feeling my ribs expand underneath my armpits, because when I'm stressed, my breathing is shallow. And shallow breathing is a epidemic in our culture. So I really try and counter that, and as I'm breathing in, I feel my ribs expanding underneath my armpits. And slow the exhale, end of exhale, pulling in the stomach. Breathing in, ribs expanding underneath the armpits. Slowing, lengthening the exhale, end of exhale, pulling in the stomach. And the more I breathe this way, my heart rate slows down because I'm getting more oxygen per breath. I'm dousing my brain in oxygen. Does that sound like a good idea? I think so, So just I go back to the optimal breathing. And sometimes when I'm breathing in, I'll breathe in, exhale, and then I'll drop a few thank yous into my mind during the exhale. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's how I walk through the store a lot. I'm doing optimal breathing, and I'm saying thank yous in my mind. And I can get to an elevated mind state through these practices. So the reward is there. It's just a matter of trying it and getting good at it. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. And it's this elevated mind state that on some level we all crave, this elevated mind state, but we have different ways of getting there, whether it's drugs or video games or, whatever it
Those
is.
are false elevations. So
Well, they're temporary elevations, but then you crash.
and all the side effects and hangovers and all that.
All the problems you made when you were wasted, all the mistake. But getting elevated through breathing and through mantra is a way of getting elevated where there's no downside. There's no crashing. There's no. I make better decisions when I'm when I'm that way.
Absolutely.
So it's improving my life.
So I want to share one last skill before we wrap it up. And that is geared towards the idea of the solution-oriented thinking. And a very fun little exercise I like to do with, like if I'm walking with somebody or if I'm just sitting by myself contemplating something. If I had a magic wand and I could create anything I wanted, what would it be? And then just write it down or talk it out with a friend and just think about how your mind will tell you can't do it. But then think about how you can stop that part of your mind and allow yourself to think of solutions and how they could be possible and what can you put your first foot forward on, change that train direction and move towards the solution of your dharmic path. So, when you're feeling kind of down and low on how the world is going or whatever, try to redirect that energy into, if I had a magic wand, and write it down. Make a good exercise out of brainstorming and getting dopamine out of believing that there is hope and reason for your forward motion in a solution. So, yeah, I hope that was inspirational and gives you the energy that you have been looking for to attempt presence more often. And we will be having our monthly satsang at the Commons on September 8th. I think that's the Sunday, next Sunday at the Commons. And we have Qigong and Tai Chi at the Commons as well on Saturday mornings at noon. And it's a great, gentle movement that we have available for our community. So we have the Wilderness Wellbeing Retreat in Madison on September 16th and 17th. And you can find more information if you look on, I'm actually sorry to say, I think that only information is on Facebook. And it's a Wilderness Wellbeing Retreat. And the address is on there and more information. So we hope you have a great month. And is there any final thoughts you have for our listeners?
Yeah, we're also actively teaching on Insight Timer. I have a class every Monday at 8:30, advanced mind training. And Jay's got a class every Wednesday at 8:30.
Yep.
And that's astrology and mind skills.
Yeah. Astrology and meditation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to see what we're up to and join the party.
Yeah. Yeah. Be a part of the love rebellion, y'all.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Have a beautiful month. Share this with your friends and be in touch if you have any subjects you'd like us to speak on. Be well, y'all.
Peace and love to you all.